So, my work isn't good enough, huh? During the last year of my career as a cop, I spent the majority of it on light duty due to medical reasons that hit me out of nowhere. I knew the sheriff was gunning for me anyway, so I decided to have some fun. See, I was the chief of the court division of the sheriff's office. Also, I was assigned as our member investigation to our regional internet crimes task force. As part of my work for the department, I volunteered to be the webmaster for their site. I put a lot of work into it, but I finally had it working. Then, they wanted me to add a new set of features to it that would allow deputies to log in and post events occurring during their shift, so that supervisors had an up-to-date record of all that was going on. There was a similar system in a neighboring county they wanted it modeled after. There were some slight issues though. The code base for the other county side was written in C++ and operated on a Windows-based server, while ours was a Linux server. Take a guess at who qualified as an expert in the courts regarding computer forensics of Linux-based file systems and operations? Why, yours truly, of course. The sheriff of the other county was all too willing to provide me with the complete code base their designers had used. He knew we couldn't use it right off, so we had no problems with it. Now, for what they wanted, I could have done nothing but coding from dawn to dusk for 3 months solid, but I did it in 3 weeks. I not only had matched what the other system could do, I also built in a feature where a deputy could alert people on other shifts of events that happened so they could be in the know, as well as a fully compliant email interface with Microsoft Exchange, allowing staff to send emails back and forth without having to leave the system. A great deal of work I put into coding that side I did from home off the clock. I told them I could get it done in less than 3 months and I wasn't going to disappoint them. The day came, ta-da! Oh wait, they didn't really think I could do it. They were really hoping for me to fail to give them a reason to fire me. The next day, my LT comes up to my workstation and told me to come with me. I had gotten so tired of him trying to find a way to get me fired, I actually said, "What did I do wrong this time?" He responded with, "You'll see." When we got to the door to enter the non-public area of the SO, we soon passed his office and instead went straight to the sheriff's office. He asked me for the web hosting details. I was hosting it for free on my server, as well as the ownership of the domain names. Obviously, even though I had control of both were the property of the SO. My sheriff, who only a couple of months earlier was praising my name because I developed the site using the colors and fonts chosen for the designs on the patrol car, said, "We're going to switch to a different webmaster. We want someone more professional." Obviously, I could not see my face, but the way I felt, I think my head did a complete 360 like in The Exorcist. I was so offended by this statement, I kind of went into a trance. I had owned and operated a web hosting and design company for at least 8 to 10 years before I took over the department's site. I was a professional website developer. No one could have built them the custom site they requested as quickly as I did. I worked at least 40 hours at home off the clock on the project and was highly praised by the chef for the work. Yet only a few weeks later he wanted someone more professional? He wasn't fooling me. Fine. Cue my ProRevenge. Not long before I was asked to build the new features for the website, one of my staff came to me, eyes down, to confess something he had done. He wasn't tech savvy, but one day he did a search and found a domain name was available for purchase. It just so happened to be the domain name the chef had used for his first campaign less than 4 years earlier. Apparently, no one thought to check to see the status of the domain as the new election approached. Once he told me, I promised him I would take care of it, so I got access to the registrant account to change the name server to an anonymous host. I learned from my computer crimes contacts the sheriff was trying to use federal officers to try to trace me to find out who was doing what with his domain. Well, good luck with that. I was proxied from hell and back, using 7 hops through 3 providers and on the Tor network. Every time I logged into the website I was building, there was no way to trace who was doing it. The sheriff knew my coworker had purchased the domain, but that was the limit of his involvement. So, it's important to note, the sheriff had to resign in disgrace and accepted a plea deal to plead guilty to a couple of federal felonies. Who blew the first whistles of issues going on in the department? We did. Even better, without realizing it, for most of his second campaign, all of his signs still had the original website listed. The website listed all the factual things the sheriff or his minions were doing that were unlawful, immoral, or unethical. I only listed the stuff I could independently verify through 2 other sources. My staff and I were the first people to contact the state and the FBI regarding illegal activities being perpetrated in the SO. The command staff resigned and ran like roaches once the news came out the sheriff had been charged. I guess he should have hired someone more professional to handle his PR. In the end, he still won the second election, but wasn't able to carry out his full terms due to the crisis he was facing from his own past. Here I am, a retired law enforcement officer, still developing modern websites as a professional website designer. He could have gotten away with it all if he hadn't decided to try and screw me over with the whole internal web system. Speaking of that system, even though they pleaded with me to make it for them, it was never implemented. For the record, I often checked to see if the website had been changed. Even years after I retired, my website was still up in its entirety without a single modification. This meant it still showed my name and photo on it for details on the court division. I have had people tell me being assigned to courts does not amount to much. Obviously, they never walked them out in my shoes. So that's the story for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. A thumbs up would be highly appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.